Hello, welcome to Boardgames with Niramas. I'm Joseph and I'm here with Draco, but also with Andreas and Mats, depending on which side they are on. They're probably not on the same side on their screen, they're on my screen. So how are you doing, guys?
Very good,
Fine.
thanks.
Fine, thank you. Glad to be back.
This
Yeah.
time of the year again, huh?
It is. And of course we're, sitting on Zoom this year, on Link.
Unfortunately,
We're living in basically three cities that are like in a triangle to each other. So we're living very close to each other, but we're staying away from each other this year. I mean, Mats and so on. So we wanna stay
All
away
because
from
of Mats.
yeah, I know.
So
It's
time for the top 20. Been doing these for a few weeks now, 20 each time. And now we have the final 20 to 1. And we're going to go back and forth, classic style, and talk through these games. And we'll see. Maybe we have some overlaps. What do you guys think?
yeah,
Probably-
we'll have a few ones at least. But I'm just glad that we're allowed to talk about more games than 10.
Oh yeah, that's the first. This is the first time we do that actually. It's been
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
So there's probably going to be more games on the same list and also fewer games on the same list.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So let's see.
Yeah,
I
for me, I mean, I think the most interesting is of course like the top 5 to see what you guys have chosen. But I would say for my list, there's it's not even the same list. I think that it was last year.
It's
wonder
changed
what
a
your-
little bit, but not much.
I wonder what your what your favorite game is, Joseph.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions, but
All right.
who knows?
Yeah.
We'll
All
get
right.
to that.
Well, I think we should get going. And of course, when you see this, if you're watching this premiere sort of live, then we will also be in the chat. So you can, chat with us and ask us questions or, complain about Andreas' picks and so on. So don't be shy. Do that. If you're watching this
Yes,
afterwards,
please.
you can tell us in the comment section what you thought about this list and so on. Give us feedback. It's always fun to hear from you watching. And let's get going. I'm going to, Mats, you're going to be the first one.
I'm the first out. Don't I always start this or no?
I think you did it last year as well.
Is it because I'm the oldest?
You're the
or-
oldest. You gotta carry this home. You gotta.
Yeah.
The wisest one.
Yeah.
So while I still have energy.
Yeah, exactly. We are afraid that you're gonna fall asleep midway. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, kick me in the shins if that happens. Doesn't work now either because you're too far away. Anyway, so my number 20 is Seven Wonders Duel. That, it's just got the new expansion,
Yeah.
which I tried only 2 times, but it's really promising, I would say, in terms of how the game gets wider to play. With the whole, it makes it a whole new different game, I would say, that kind of expansion, which I think is really, really cool. So it's a really good game, just got better, basically.
Yeah. Have you played it with both the expansions?
I have not, so that's something I really want to do as soon as possible. There's the problem right now with being locked in, right? You can't really meet someone to play. So
Yeah, I'm planning to play with all expansions with my wife soon. So, but we'll get there eventually. Great pick.
Yeah,
Great
good
starting
choice.
pick of this top 20 times 3.
thank you. That's all I had to say. See you next year. Just kidding.
Okay, so my number 20 is Glenmore 2 Chronicles, which is a midweight Euro game with tile laying and worker activation and so on. And I'm not really sure. I think you guys have played this, right? I played it with you,
Yeah.
Andreas, at least.
Yeah.
I have not played it, so
Huh?
really want to play it. So
Yeah. And I was a little bit surprised myself. Again, when I make these lists, I do this like pub ranking meeple or whatever it's called. And then I move stuff around a little bit manually as well. And I just realized how much I like this game when I started thinking about it. And I like the whole Chronicle part a lot, because the Chronicles you can add, like, there's I think 8 plus a promo Chronicle that I have as well. And you add these in like 1 or 2 each time you play. And I think it was last summer that I played this a lot together with my friend Martin. And we played through like all the Chronicles that you could use for 2 players. And we tried them in different combinations and we found fun events happening. And I like those, that they add some randomness, they add some fun, like you have this, like the promo one is Nessie, so you have like this little meeple of the sea serpent Nessie, and then every time you pass her, you have to give her a gift. You have to give her something. It's a lot. It's very cute, very fun how they made the theme and the artwork and everything binds together with the game mechanics, which is also really good. I like the whole time track mechanic, where like if you can go as far as you want to grab a good tile, but then you might not get a turn for a while. So very well made design.
Interesting that it got into your top 20. I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
I only played it once. It was decent, I think. I want to play it again. But yeah. We'll probably say that in a lot of these games.
I think so too. I will also say that the changes this year, I mean, most years we play a lot of games together. And I play a lot of games. And this year I played sort of, maybe not fewer sessions, but I played fewer games in total. It's been more solo gaming, more online, so on. So that has changed up my list a little bit in comparison to previous years.
Fewer newer games as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Andreas, what is your 20?
My number 20 is Fields of Arle.
Oh.
Yeah, it's what I like about this game is I think I find the worker placement part interesting because you can specialize into different things. There's one action in the game which is called, I think it's called workbench or something, that makes the other actions better.
Oh, that's true.
So you can sort of decide on what you want to be good at in every game you play it. And sometimes you want to be good at upgrading every action, or you want to be good at farming or harvesting or building or any combinations. I really like that part of the game. It's also one of the games where Uwe got breeding right. I also like that. So like you can, like, it's not like if you have 100 sheep, you get 101 sheep. You can get like for every second animal.
Oh, I have forgotten that. I didn't think he had made one of those games, but that's true.
Yeah, but you need to have room in the stall or the stable or in the field or whatever.
Have you played the expansion with 3 players?
No, I haven't played. I have played the expansion now once.
Yeah.
It has potential. I have to try to play it with 3 as well. But the expansion gives that super actions where you can have multiple actions in a row or something if you use the T.
Yeah. Oh, so, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is very exciting.
I played it once with Eric.
Expansion.
Yeah. But I want to try it on 3 players. And also, I just did like last segment of my top 100 when we were recording this. I talked about this one. It was like 60 something for me or 50 something. And then your analysis was really good. I totally forgot about the part with the whole upgrading. Because I talked more about like you can do the summer actions and then you can do 1 winter action, but that affects the turn order. I really like that part of the game.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting part of it as well.
So that is my number 20, Fields of Arle.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
19.
And this is a game we started playing together, but we have not been able to finish yet.
I know
which is the Clank Legacy, the Acquisition Incorporated. I think we played 3 games. We're 3 games in, and unfortunately then the pandemic hit and we got locked in. Yeah. So which is a shame, but it was really promising start. I think it's definitely really good game. I think in terms of twisting the Clank game, which is good from the beginning already. I think, but this is just a tip in the right direction.
Yeah, I haven't considered this game because we have not finished it yet. So it was not it wasn't on my list at all due to that.
But Mats, do you separate it from the other Clank games? Do you have like different?
It's sort of similar. I mean, but I think just the discovery element of the Legacy game is so much fun. Yeah. But it's like also when there's also this normal expansion to the Clank game where you get these different characters to start with, which also, I mean, so maybe the whole Clank family fits well in number 19. But
what I was asking was really, will we have Clank later on the list, or did you put them all together? Like,
I think it's sort of bunched in together in the Clank Legacy. So, yeah. But it's a funny, simple game, but very, very entertaining and
it is. I really like the deck building. Like it's not that it's basic deck building, but how the cards combine with each other and all is really fun in those games. So
yeah, that's my number 19.
all right, my number 19 is it's gonna surprise Andreas again, I think, but it's Saloon Tycoon, which is a game that I only played once this year, and I had such a good time with it. And I played it a few times back in the days when it was new.
Yeah.
And it's like a build your saloon, but the fun thing is that you're building it in 3D, so you put it tile laying, but you put them on top of each other, and you build a little 3D saloon. And there's few things I like about the game a lot, which is why it's up here on the list. The whole building part, the whole income, and the whole balance. I really like, because there's some good characters and some bad characters, and there's like a tug of war, like this intense moment in the game when whoever gets to 10 gold first has to take that bad character that comes to the saloon. So nobody wants to get to 10, and then I'm looking at Andreas and like, oh, it's at 9. Okay, well maybe and you have this back and forth, which is a fun interaction in the game, I think. But even if you get that bad character, you can bribe it to go to someone else, and you have cards that you play that will move the characters around. And you have like secret gold, so maybe your goal is to have 2 bandits in your saloon at the end of the game. So then you want to have the bad characters, but you don't want to have them at the start, because then you will have an ongoing negative effect. You want to wait to the very end and then grab them, but maybe there's no time because the game end is not set. It's like when we run out of these cubes that you use to build the saloon. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Now, I would say it's maybe a little bit too take-daddy at moments for me. That's why it's not higher on my list.
I was just going to say that I think it's a little bit too long for me for the amount of take that is in the game. If it had been a little bit shorter, I would be more fine with the chance elements in the game when you take the cards and everything. But it's still really fun to play, and we have good memories of when we built the prototype.
Exactly.
Back in our old house. It was really fun. Good memories.
And the expansion adds animals and so on. I don't really know if I like the expansion from a mechanical perspective, because it's kind of weird. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could play without it, but I do like those mini expansions that we played with this year. Those were really fun, where you had new buildings and effects and so on. Have you tried this, Matt?
No, I haven't tried it, but you talked about it, so once we get back on the post-playing field.
Well, speaking of that, last year we said that our goal to this year was that we were all going to play all the games that were in our top 10s. Now we have to play all the games that are in our top 20s, so
even more work.
Yeah, but if we can, I think we should have a big gaming party this summer when you can get back together.
Month of playing.
Oh yeah. Just quit your job and divorce your wife and
and sacrifice your kids.
All right, so that's my number 19, Saloon Tycoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my number 19 is the first crossover already.
Already?
Yeah. So it's Seven Wonders Duel.
Oh.
So I'm not going to add too much to it, but I'm going to say what I like most about the game. I think it's almost every decision you have in the game is exciting. And it's mostly due to the imperfect information in the game. So every second row in the pyramid is always hidden, and every second row is not hidden, and that makes the game. That makes the whole game very tense. If it would have been perfect information, the game would have been something completely different, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that is the best thing about the game. And the second path is I like that it has very different paths to victory. Like most games that we will have on this list will probably end up the most victory points will win you the game. Like most games are like that. And I don't think there are so many good games that have alternate victory conditions, but this game has, I think it's 4 now, right? With the new expansion. It's brilliant. So
for being such a small game, which it really is, it's loaded with good tactical decisions, fun playing times, and it's pretty quick as well. If both people know the game, know a little bit how they want to play, it's fairly quick, so it's nice.
Yeah.
It might come on my list later on as well, so I'm not going to say too much now. I'll save it for them.
Yep. So,
18.
my number 18 is Teotihuacan. Still on my list, but it's fallen pretty far down due to lack of playing. It's available on Board Game Arena, which I think is really good, but it's so hard to get that overview.
Yeah,
on
I
Board Game
agree.
Arena.
Yeah.
It's the screen is just. I need a bigger screen, like a super big screen, to make it
You have like a TV and
on your floor, so you can sit on it,
Yeah.
and, or have it like a table
you
or
can,
something.
you
I
can
don't know.
arrange that if you want.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do that. That was a good idea, actually. Anyway, I haven't played it. I played it like a couple of times this year, but it's still a good game. I think it's really solid in so many ways. A lot of playing hours you can do. It's a hard game to master, but I like the sort of the rondel mechanism on the action selection, and that it's like you have to plan. Okay, I want to do this, but I can't because I don't have enough cacao to pay for that action. So I might just have to go and pick up some cacao instead, which slows my game down. So you really need to plan it and everything.
That game hurts my brain. That's like, it's like, I don't know. I if I played it a lot, it wouldn't be that tough. But for me, it's like a little bit too heavy for my taste. It's my number 79 on my top 100.
Okay, so yes.
Still a good game.
It is. I really enjoy it, but I have to be in the mood. Like I wouldn't play it 3 times a week.
No, I agree. I think it's one of those games you can take out like every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's super solid once you do it. So that's my number 18.
All right, that's a good pick. Yeah. My number 18 is also a game that I don't play that often, to be honest. And it's I think it might even be heavier in some sense than Teotihuacan. So, but it's Anachrony. Anachrony has fallen on my list as well. It's been higher up, but I play it. I don't play it that often. Play it solo maybe like once a year. I still have.
Wasn't that your top game once?
No, it's been like 4, 5 something.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay,
It's been in the top 5 for a couple of years
Yeah.
now, if I remember correctly.
And every year I've been promising my viewers I'm gonna make a solo playthrough video of this, and every year I fail to do it. But I will say, I have a notification from UPS who's going to deliver a package to me tomorrow from when we're recording this. I don't know what it is, but since it's UPS, it's from outside of Sweden. It might be the expansion for Anachrony because it's delivering right now from Kickstarter.
Oh.
And if it is that one, well, when I get it, then I will make a video of it. And the expansion looks really cool. You can do like you're already time traveling, right? But now you can also start like blinking, they call it. So you can like you place your worker on a spot, then you can blink and jump to another spot in the same round and do another action. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it's such a cool
chaos.
game thematically. I love the time travel aspect, and I talked about this earlier. I mean, it's been on my lists, and I love Anachrony. I would like to play it with you guys at some point. It's one of those games that
One of those games we haven't been able to play this year.
Yeah,
so,
and it's one of those games that I will sort of never sell because it that's a game I want to play once in a while, like a few times a year.
And I think that's a good score for a game. Like if you don't want to sell it, then it's a good game.
So that's
nice.
my number 18, Anachrony.
Yeah. So my number 18 is the first social deduction game for tonight, and it's my only one, and it's the Resistance Avalon. It's family. So earlier I had Secret Hitler as my favorite social deduction game, but it's just outside top 20 now. So and the main reason is for that because of the switch here is that the Resistance is a little bit easier to get to the table. It's lighter on the rules, and it plays in half the time or something. So I've been able to play it with my coworkers and friends as well. Mats, absolutely.
I want to hear what Mats thinks about this.
No, but I mean,
is that a crossover, Mats? Do you have it higher up on your list?
Let's see.
Bottom 20 games.
Bottom 20,000 games on my list.
Oh, okay.
No, seriously. I mean, I prefer though the Resistance Avalon compared to Secret, because Hitler was to me a terrible game. But and this is not far from it, but it's a tad better.
Do you prefer it because it's shorter, so you can
exactly.
end sooner? Yeah.
So no, social deduction games is not my kind of game, definitely.
Yeah. So my favorite way to play the Resistance is Avalon because of the the
Merlin,
thematic
or-
elements, and also the characters. So, and I really like that you can balance the game. Like if you have, like if you're 7 or 8 people and you play a bunch of games, you can balance the game between the rounds, because you can add and subtract characters, so to get the best like combination for your gaming group. I really think that's very good for this game. So yeah, the resistance. And I like to lie people. I like to lie in this game. It's really fun. But it's like most games. It's always fun to be the bad guy. I think that it's
I agree. Yeah.
most fun. Yeah.
I like to
We'll
crash
see.
those games. That's what I'm going to
Yeah.
continue doing.
Yeah, we know that, Mats. We know that.
Okay,
You
so
don't like having fun.
let's hear for number 17 then from Mats.
Now we go into, a fairly light game, but I think it's one that I like, especially due to a certain add-on on expansion. But that is Everdell. And especially when you add the Spire Crest expansion to it, because then you have some more elements happening in that game. I like the little tableau building of with the cards, sort of how it's a combination of tableau and engine building, worker placement, and then with this Spire Crest expansion, you add sort of one more element to make some more changes in every round due to the weather impact of the game, and also that you do all this sort of questing where you get you pick your own goals and you want to fulfill them, and you get like a little buff each season. So that's pretty cool, I think, as a bonus.
One of the games I haven't played, the first game that I've been mentioned I haven't played, and this I really want to play this. I think I will like it.
You will like this one,
Yeah.
Josef. I'm pretty certain you will, actually. So I think I mean, the art is lovely, but I guess
And
everybody says that.
components
And it's really, really, it's a nice playing experience, even though it's not the heaviest game, but it's sort of just entertaining to play on a casual gaming night, basically.
And it has this sort of tapestry thing, right, where we can be at different points in the game at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't do you say pass out? No, you don't.
When you pass.
When you end your turn, yeah. And you pass out and you're like out of the game.
In the bed.
Yeah, in the bed later on. Sort of you can do that, so you can still be in spring while I'm in summer already, and so on. So it's sort of, so it's pretty cool.
I have
But
to
like
try
it.
it. Yeah, it's on my like top 10 games I want to try. Sort of.
Yeah, you will like it.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
There's also combo wombo in that one, so that's perfectly for you.
And card play and all that. Yeah, I would like it.
Yeah. So that's my number 17.
Okay. My number 17 is a game that I think you guys will have on your list as well. I think this is a 3-way crossover. I hope so, at least. Otherwise, the stream might shut down. But it's called The Castles of Burgundy from Stefan Feld. That's a lovely tile-laying game that you... Speaking of combos, you're trying to find combos with you build out your buildings or your sheep and stuff into your kingdom. And you're building castles, and then like building one building lets you do something that leads to another thing, and that's the whole fun thing of the game, I think. I also like, it's a dice rolling game, but I like it in this one because you roll the dice and then you see, okay, this is my options this turn, what I can do, but I can also mitigate the dice with my workers, so I can make them go up or down, and you can plan that out. So yeah, it's not, I don't feel like it's luck. Well, there's some luck involved, obviously. You might need a 5 and you roll 2 1s, and there's no way. Like, of course that could happen, but overall I do like it, and I like how it's so. The game itself, like the components are really bad, and the look of the game is really bad, and they made a new edition that was like worse. But and still, it's on my top 20 because the gameplay is so much fun. Like that's the testament to the gameplay. Just imagine if this game was produced in a cool way.
It's
a
solid,
good pick.
Yeah, solid all around.
Yeah, so very, very, very. The game mechanics, the game design is so good. So there it is, The Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah, good choice.
Right. So my number 17 is a game that is falling on my list. So it's Caverna, the Cave Farmers.
I thought you would have it higher up.
Yeah, it won like when we started to do these top 10s together in 2016, it was number 3. But we played it a lot more back then. And I think if I played it as much now as I did back then, I would probably have it higher up. Because the game is really, really good. But there are so many other games now that are competing in these times, like in the amount of time it takes to play this game. But I really like the openness of the game. It's like a sandbox type game. Everything is like available for you from the start. So you have to grab the rooms that you want, that you need, and it's also a game where you can try new strategies every time you play, and that is something that I really, really like in games. I really like to push my own thought process of trying new stuff all the time. Sometimes it works like really good, and sometimes it turns out really bad, but doesn't really matter.
How do you like the expansion?
Personally, I'm not too fond of the expansion. I think it's just because I play the original game so much. So the expansion has the asymmetric races, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I think it's very good to use it when playing with new players, though.
It's very restrictive. Like it steers you in a direction from the start.
Yeah. So it's very different from the open sandbox thing that I described that I like about this game. There are many other games that rely on the asymmetric play powers. This game doesn't do that. It doesn't need that. So yeah, but still a really solid game. We have to play that more.
Yeah,
of course, like every other game.
It's a game that we all like, even though it's further down on my list or up, and so on. But
I don't recall, but it's not far from my top 20 list. It's a good game, solid game.
Yeah.
So
okay,
right. Good choice.
So we're down to 16, right?
16, right? Now we're entering a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Rebellion is also here falling on my list due to lack of play, I think. And that is since I'm fairly new to the hobby as well, I keep on discovering new games. So games that I liked a few years ago are falling, not because they are bad, but that I just play more and different games.
You're so cult of the new, Mats. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I know. So Star Wars Rebellion anyway is a really solid 2-player game. I would never play it with more people than 2, but it's a setup that takes an hour usually to the game. But it's a great game that even if you
is a setup in 1 hour. Did you just say that?
But it takes some time. It takes like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long setup. It depends on how well, if you have like insert and organized everything. Quicker.
I have not played this game.
Okay, so you should play it because it's a really good game, and I think the differences in playing the Imperial versus the Rebels is just so good in game designing.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's always have a blast playing it. It's just that I don't play it that often. But I'm a Star Wars fan, so I will always love this game no matter what, even if I don't play it. But it's a great game.
Yeah, I love it too. I haven't played it I sold my copy. I haven't played it in a good while, but I had really fun with it. I remember the first time I played it when Max, our friend, he just got it, and we sat down. I think we spent 6 hours or something playing one game. We had an awesome time.
One game?
Yeah. But set up, and we had to figure out all the rules and everything as we went.
But I would say also that you need, of course, the expansion here
to make.
I mean, the new battle system. Otherwise, which makes it a lot better. So I mean, that's
right.
a bit, but it's still good anyway, though. So yeah.
So which side is the best side to play on?
Imperial side for me, because you can deduce stuff you're trying to deduce.
But with the Rebel style, it's also interesting because you're kind of limited on, you can never fight your way out of things, but you have to be really sneaky, which is kind of a very different strategy. But it's like keeping things hidden, and trying to just stay away, basically.
Yeah, a really good game.
Yeah. So
all right, my number 16 is going to be sort of quick, I guess, because it's a crossover here with Mats. So it's Clank, but it's like Clank Legacy and the Clank games. I put it all together in one spot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really like it. I have many good memories from playing base Clank as well. When it came out, and such a fun game. And as I said, I really like the deck building part. But I like how they combine it with, like, it's, you move around. You need those boots to move around. You need the swords to pass certain spots, and just the base design of it, I think, is really fun. And then all the stuff on top of that with like extra maps and the legacy, and that's just just improves like something I already like. I will say though, I played Clank in space once, and that was not a favorite for me. I didn't get the same sort of feeling in that one. Have you tried it, Mats?
No, I haven't tried that one, but I would like to try it. I only played I want to play some more maps as well to see how they are different. But I agree. This is a good choice of game.
I really like the I really like the weight level. It's like relaxing. You're sitting around playing, having fun. And as we talked about, I think earlier, like in the Legacy game, if there's like a spot at the bottom of the map with with a story thing happening when you go there, it's like I want to go there. I don't care if I win, if I make it out alive. I just want to see what happens because it's so fun.
This is so very uncommon, Andreas. It is actually something funny because he was more discovering than winning, which is not. He totally is the opposite. Usually when we play games, like, I want to win, but in this case he was like casual, exploring, having fun. So it was good.
It's one of the games that is more focused on, like, it's fun to play. Doesn't really, I don't know. It's something about the game that it's just fun to play. It doesn't really matter if you win or lose. It's like an experience when you play it. I have other games that have on my list that is coming up that relies on the experience when you play the game. So great choice. Really want to play Clank more, especially the
we have
Legacy
to
version.
Complete the Legacy, of course.
Yep.
All right. So what's your 16, Andreas?
Yeah. So my number 16 is a thematic masterpiece. It's The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, everything just clicks thematically in this game. It's so fun. It's really, every time you play it, you can immerse yourself into the theme and just play the game. And then it's a long game, especially when you're 4 players and you play like 2 or 3 hours, and and the game ends and someone has the most happiness and that person is the winner. But you don't really I don't really care. It's the experience when you play the game.
I mean, the gameplay is actually sort of brain burning in a way. Like you have these like so many different resources, and then you like have to manage, and you have to have the resources to not lose your wife. You have to like have this certain resource like every year or every section of the game, right? But as you say, the thematic input in the game takes over for me as well. So.
But I think it's the combination for me that really that works for me. It's thematic and it's very puzzly. Or how do you describe it? Like you have a certain amount of time glasses or whatever.
Yeah, hourglasses.
Yeah. And if you want a nice stable income with a high level job, you have to spend a lot of time on the job, which makes total sense. But then you know how much money you will generate, and then you can figure out how to do everything else. It's really good. It says good expansions as well. Just back the nostalgia expansion. So
I still remember. I don't know who it was. If it was Mats. I don't know. There was someone that in the expansion with the community where you can do things in the community, and the last thing he did in his life was to help put out the fire. And that was then he died. But
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice. I wish I want to play that one more because I only played it once with you guys, and this is something I was really want to play a lot.
But this is something we will play the first evening, right, when we get back to gaming together, right?
Yeah, and then with all the expansion and everything. Totally
Yeah, the
great.
whole enchilada.
It will take 5 hours at least just to understand it.
And we also have
Maybe-
to have mandelkubb, which is a Swedish pastry thing. Yeah.
Fika.
Fika.
Okay, let's head on
Cool.
to 15 then for Mats.
Yeah. 15 is a new game, or no, not a new game. It's a new release. They just released a big box. So it's Hansa Teutonica, which is landing on my top 15. And I think it's brilliant in how to use so few components, just wooden cubes and some discs, and making such an exciting game with so little. It's just fascinating how you can do, because it's so thinky, it's so interactive, it's important choices. It's just great with so many few components. If you compare it to Pursuit of Happiness, which is the opposite, maybe we have a big game board, you have all these cards, all these tiles, whatever, and here it's just wooden cubes basically on a map, and it's such an exciting game. So I think that's really fun, and it's plays fairly quick as well. If everybody knows the game well, every plays really quick. So it's really a lot of concentration in a short time.
It's just outside my top 20 as well. What I like about the game, it's not when you when someone makes a aggressive move to against you, you're somewhat like you get more cubes on the map. So it's the feeling that like normally like in war games or other games, you feel like you're losing stuff. It's different here.
It's kind of hoping for it instead, that someone would push you so you get one extra cube.
Yeah, you put a cube here, and you know that eventually you have to spend resources to move my cube, and I will get more cubes. It's very satisfying. Good choice.
Yeah. So
all right,
my number 15.
My number 15 is Aeon's End. And again, I'm putting everything together here. It's Aeon's End Legacy, it's Aeon's End War Eternal. I haven't played new, whatever that is called. There's one that I haven't played. And there's another one coming from Kickstarter as well. So there's a lot of new Aeon's End content out there. But I love the deck building in this one. There's like a few twists to the normal formula. I will say though that I think I prefer it mostly solo. I played it co-op with Andreas and his wife. And we had a good time. I played it with Martin as well. I mean, we had a good time, but I think I really like it solo because then I handle 2 or 3 characters at the same time myself, and I just grind. My brain just grinds like, okay, so if this happens and that happens, and then this card is bought, then it goes in there, and then it's gonna come up later on. And it's a really hard co-op game. Most of the time you get beaten. But it's like I compared it earlier to almost like these like Mega Man, if you remember that from the Nintendo, like the early Nintendo games. It's like every boss has a certain way to beat it. So you need to find that way. Like you can't play the same the whole game because then you will lose most of the time. You need to find, okay, what's the weakness? How are we supposed to tackle this guy? And what cards should we buy into our deck? Because those cards will work against a certain boss and so on. And in the Legacy game, that was really fun as well. I will say though for the Legacy game that I was a little bit disappointed because it didn't really have a good overarching story, which I think a Legacy game should have. It was more like playing a bunch of games back to back and more complex rules. But still, I really like it, and I like those twists. Like you don't shuffle your deck. You just when your discard pile is full, or like when you don't have any cards in your deck, then you just flip your discard pile over, and then you start drawing from the other way. So you can plan a lot how you want.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I only played it once, as you described, but it had a few cool things that you can prepare spells or whatever.
Oh yeah. You can't just cast a spell. You have to prepare it, and the next round you can cast it. So
it has some cool mechanisms there. So
they really did and this is one of those games that I heard about for 2 years, and people were saying, "Oh, it's so good! It's one of the best solo games ever." And then I finally picked it up, and I was just stuck right away. I just played it a lot. I think it was last year, in February or something. I played this game over and over and over, and just played through everything. And really cool game. So Aeon's End is my number 15.
Yep. All right, my number 15 has already been mentioned by both of you. Maybe now, can't remember. It's the Castles of Burgundy, or maybe just one of you.
I haven't mentioned it yet.
Yet, yeah, okay. I got you. So I'm not gonna say so much about it, but I just want to add what we talked about earlier. I really like the challenge of like mitigating the dice results. I like you have to always have a plan for almost every die value, or
You
at
need a
least
backup plan, yeah. If you don't
yeah,
roll,
you need so that is the game for me, like to be able to always have a plan B or plan C or plan D or whatever. So and the games where the die just rolls your way, you're gonna score so many points and it will be awesome, but it's still really fun when it doesn't really when you have to like
you have to work for it. Like, you have to actually
work
have
for
the
it.
workers
Yeah,
and also you have some buildings that like mitigate the dice as well. So if you're
Yeah.
going for a animal strategy, you can buy one of those special tiles that lets you go up and down on the animal placement. So
yeah, it's really good. I want to play the team version.
me
Yeah.
too. Yeah. We have
should do
that's
that.
something we have to do as well. We're gonna say this over and over during this video, but
You know what we
Someone
should do? We should
list.
pour all the games we haven't played yet in one box and just shake it out and play with everything.
yeah, we could just do like a little note and then we draw it. Okay, now it's time to play Anachrony, and then next
Yeah.
time we meet up,
So
now it's time to play this. And
I think that would be a really good way to sort of
like randomize it, and then when we played one of those, we remove it, so we have a year to play through the whole box.
Yeah.
And
Let's
someone
do
in
that.
the comments maybe can summarize all the games that we say that we want to play. Yeah. We'll see how long that list
Yeah, exactly.
will be. Another 20 games. All right.
So what are we
choice.
at? 14,
Good
right?
choice. Yeah. So my number 14 takes us to the West Kingdom, where we play the Paladins of West Kingdom, which I think is it's a nice puzzly game.
Is it the
Maybe
best out of the?
I just received the Viscounts
Oh, okay. Yeah.
as well, so I only played that once yet on solo, so I can't really speak to that one yet. But I think this is a nice sort of do your own stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to puzzle it on your own. It's not so much
Multiplayer
interaction. Exactly. But it's a nice one. It's very stimulating when you get the machine to click in the right way. You have the right color workers. You can use those in the way you want to in the plan, and you can kick these combos when you place things out on the game board, etc. I think it's a satisfying game with a lot of rewards, which is sort of makes you feeling almost good every time you play it, which I think is good.
And as you can see right now, in the future, when you see this, you will see me and Mats playing this in the video we made together. And so you can, of course, and for all of these games we talk about, when I show you the videos and so on, if there's a video rolling when you hear about the game, then that means you can find it on YouTube if you want to watch the whole thing. So you can always just search for Niramas and the game name. If there's not a video, then that means I haven't made a video for it yet.
So someone can also make a list on that, so he's a to-do for
exactly.
To do that.
Exactly. It's
put it all on the
gonna be
viewers.
A lot of good lists here.
Yeah.
I played it once. I think it was a little better than Raiders of the North.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't played the game in between.
The Architects.
Yeah, I haven't played that. But
that might be the best one he's made, though. So not saying
might
too
be,
much.
might be.
All right. My number 14 is Tapestry from Stonemaier Games. And this is a game that I know don't turn off
number 14.
Don't turn off your video. I know a lot of people don't like this game, but I know a lot of people love it as well. This is one of the games that really divided the gaming community. For some weird reason, people thought, like, because James Stegmaier said, I'm going to release a Civilization game, and then people start building up all these expectations of what it would be. And then when it came out, people were like, this is not a Civilization game. Well, it's a Civilization theme game. I mean, through the ages, it's not a Civilization game either in that case, because, there's no map moving around. It's abstracted, obviously. But what I really like about Tapestry is the game mechanics and the feel it gives me when I move these little things up the track, and I build up my stuff, and I just love it for the whole, and the card play, the Tapestry, when you play out these cards, and like, well, I think I mentioned this before, but it's probably some new viewers here, so I have to tell you that once I played this with Andreas and some other people, and he ended the game like 39 minutes before everyone else.
I'm going to close this one now.
Yeah. So he had to sit around and feel ashamed of himself for playing so bad for 39 minutes while the rest of us had fun. And normally I would say that's a very bad game design. I wouldn't like
It
that.
is a bad. That is the worst thing about the game.
I
But
don't
in
agree,
this game,
Joseph.
probably
This was
because
fun.
I play this game so well, I'm so good at it that it never happens to me. I always I'm always like the last guy playing, and I'm having a good time. Like, I can do this, guys. And oh, you're done already. Okay, yeah. So I really like Tapestry. I haven't played the expansion yet, which is a bit silly since I have it.
I have.
What did you think about it?
Didn't that much. You don't like. I don't think you need that
Yeah,
expansion.
okay.
that expansion.
It's just one of those expansions that just adds more stuff, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
change anything. Yeah.
And Kaching
Minor
in Stonemaier games.
Yeah. So I'm coming around on the game. I think it's decent. Not my favorite game. We will not show up on my top 20. But
I didn't expect it.
I would not like if I'm offered to play it. I will play it.
It's also a very good solo game. It has an awesome automa system, and for me, that especially these days. But a lot of these games on my top 20. Actually, if you look at my top 100, and you look at like if you would tag every one of them, which someone could do if you want to, then you would find that like if it has a solo mode, it's gonna be way up, out top on the list. So, all right.
Someone should start making a list of that.
Yeah, you should make a list of our lists. That's
funny.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna continue.
Please do.
So number 14, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Number 14 is almost the oldest game on my list. It's Puerto Rico.
Oh.
I think I really like the follow mechanic of this game.
I don't know what to make of that. Draco's,
Joseph said something about when Draco appears, you have to be quick. So I'm gonna be quick.
No.
So this game, I really like the follow mechanic. It's one of the games where you are really invested in every decision that everyone takes. Like you are affected on everyone's turn, and I really like that. It's I don't want every game to be like that, but a few games can be like that, and this is one of the games that I like about that. So
I actually mentioned Puerto Rico. It's not on my top 200, but it's like I mentioned it 3 times during my top 100 because of that mechanic, which I call it Puerto Rico mechanic, and I love it in like Skylands and Rising Sun and
I think you should
New
call
Frontiers.
A follow mechanic. I think. It's
Yeah.
But that is probably the best, and I think it really works well on all player counts as well.
Do you like the components?
The components are awful.
Can someone make a list of games with awful components? Too?
Yep.
Castle Burgundy, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I really like it. It's been on my top 10 or top 20 since I started making lists. So it's still there.
Yeah.
It's slowly falling off, but that's what it is. So cool. Mats, what is your number 13?
My number 13 is The Voyages of Marco Polo, which is a fantastic game in so many ways. I played it maybe a bit too much this year, thanks to that it's on BGA. I played it a lot, so maybe that's why it didn't end up higher, because I almost haven't touched it now for a while. But it's such a tight, fun game to play, and it can be super rewarding, or it can really hurt you if you're not planning your moves correctly and so on. So it's a great tight little game where you always want to have one more camel, one more coin, one higher die value or one lower die value. It's really cool in that sense.
Really tight.
Yeah.
It's again it's a little bit like Castle of Burgundy with all like you have the dice, but it's not always good to have a high number. You
might want to have a lower just because you don't have the money otherwise to do the action, but then you get a not as good reward. So maybe it should be higher on my list because I really love it, but I haven't played it for some time now. So
it's my number 34, I think.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, I agree.
Great choice.
I think it's going to be on Andreas' list as well.
Yeah,
might show up.
My number 13 is sort of in the same ballpark actually as Marco Polo, in my mind at least. It's A Feast for Odin. So this is my favorite game from Uwe Rosenberg, and it's the
spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's this really well. I like the theme in it. The theme actually comes through in some way because you have your Vikings and Like they have to eat and they can drink meat, and there's a lot of like they go hunting and they go raiding.
That's a strong theme.
Yeah, and in this game you have the classic system. So if you have like 2 cows, then one of the cows. Well, it's interesting because one of the cows will get pregnant first, and then you will get a 3rd cow. But if you have 4 cows, wait, will 2 cows get pregnant then?
No.
No, it's only one. Yeah. They live in a.
It's one of the games that where he got breeding totally messed up again.
No, but I really like it. There's one thing I might think is a little bit, and that's the whole like the game comes with a super big deck of cards.
Yeah.
And you draw from this deck randomly, and you might get a card that is perfect for your strategy. You might get a card that is worthless for your strategy. They try to fix it a little bit with the expansion, the Norwegians, because then you can you spend the cards to get points.
Yeah.
So that's better, but still, it's I don't know. That's maybe a downside for it, but I really like the expansion as well. I would say how it adds to the game with like the board changes, and this is a worker placement game with 61, I think, worker placement spots, which sounds insane, but of course they are in like themes. So like one of them is hunting, and then you can hunt in stronger and stronger way if you spend more workers. So yeah, a lot of good stuff going on in If Heat Throw. It also has the polyomino puzzle, so you have to like place stuff on your board and puzzle it out, which I'm not a huge polyomino fan, but I mean I like it, and I like it as a part of the game a lot. Like instead of, I mean, Cottage Garden, all these games, they're all about that. But in this one, it's a part of the game. So really like A Feast for Odin, and I think you guys do as well, right?
Yeah, it's just outside. It's my 22, and I would not be surprised if it will surpass Caverna next year. The expansion is super awesome. I really like it. The Norwegians. It's one of the games that I don't get to the table too often, though. It's a big chunky game, and you're absolutely right. The weakest point of the game is the cards. I don't like I don't know. It's too many cards. I'm not sure. Agricola does that much better.
Yeah.
With the drafting and everything. This is just I don't know. It's a mess.
I haven't played this one, so I really want to do it. Because,
you have to play it again.
We talked about it.
You can mark it down. This is the game. Game we have to play together. I think you would. I think you would really like it, Mats.
Yeah, me too. It sounds like. I mean, I like Caverna, so I think this is a good game. I like Uwe's design in general. So, so good choice, I think.
Okay.
Right. Are we at number 13?
I think it's Andreas, number 13.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
14. Sorry.
It's my number 13.
Confused.
Yeah. It's all right. My number 13 is the oldest game on my list, and it's from 97.
Is it Ave Caesar?
No, it's For Sale.
Oh.
Yeah. So For Sale is the best auction game in my book.
I agree.
It's there are other good auction games as well, but this game has it's not too long.
No.
So it makes every decision important in the game. I really like that in games.
It's one of those games that you play like you may not just play once. You play like maybe twice when you bring it out because it's so quick and
it takes 20 minutes to play or something, and it works well with almost all player counts. When you are 6 players, you can get. It can be a bit messy if you are if you start far from the initial bidder in every round in a given round, but so it's slightly better on 4 or 5 players, but it's still good. Works with all people. I play it in the office. Like I'm not at the office right now, but when normally it's a game where you can play during lunchtime or can play with my family, my parents, everything. It works for everyone. Everyone understands the concept of buying, trying to pay as little as possible for something and then sell it to the highest bidder. It just works.
I agree. It's
a good choice. Good choice.
I think it's like my favorite filler game.
Yeah.
These days.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's my favorite by far.
Yeah.
Filler game.
I agree.
Okay. Now it's your turn, Mats.
Okay, number 12 is Barrage.
Wow.
Yeah,
You like that game?
I like this game. Even though I always get, but I like the interaction in this game, but I also hate it because you can build something up and then someone just crashes it for you, which is pretty amazing. But then you have to adapt to that and try to change your strategies a little bit. But also here, once again, it's a super tight worker placement game where you sort of you have so many options, but you want to choose them at the right time or before someone else does, because if you don't choose it, you might have to pay money to do it, and you might not have that money because here the money is super tight as well. So it's a really tight game in terms of action selection, and then also, or in the worker placement, and then also in the building on the game board in itself. I think it's such a cool design in how they do the water flowing process and how you build and how to convert that into energy. Just
I only played it once, and it was a long game, complicated, and I like long, complicated games, but it was not intuitive for me. So, but it might be better next time when I get to play it. But it was really hard. I think my opening move took me 15 minutes.
At least I heard rumors of 30 minutes. So
that's
I only seen the game on the table at Essen. It looked like a beast. So.
It is a beast. But it's like funny because it's a game that after I played it maybe now around 8-9 times maybe, and it's really starting to come together. So it's probably going to get better for the coming games now because it's finally starting to get a hang of things, So I'm a bit slow and stupid, so that's why it takes longer basically.
Stubborn as well.
Yeah. I'm like a bulldog. No, sorry.
All right. My number 12 is another deck builder. I do like deck builders a lot. And this is, again, Legendary Encounters system. So it's a few games bunched together. But my favorite is still Alien, if I had to pick one. And I think this system is so good. And this is one of the co-op games that I don't want to play solo. This one I want to play with other people because it's so fun how you cooperate in between, like even if it's not your turn, you can still help the other players out.
Coordinate.
Coordinate, yeah, that's what it's called. But you do cooperate. You cooperate by coordinating, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, exactly. And it's so thematic, and that's where this game really shines. I mean, the deck building is fairly standard. It's sort of like Hero Realms, where like, oh, if you already played one of these type of cards, then you play another one, then it triggers a special effect. So that's not that exciting. I mean, it's good. But the really thing that shines for me and puts it up here, almost in the top 10, is the whole thematic. I said this before, I think it feels like I'm repeating myself, but of course, like in the Alien game, you can get a face hugger onto you, and then you put it in your deck, you shuffle it in, and then when you draw it, then you will die. Then you become a chest burster, right? So before that happens, you need to find a way to get rid of it. I mean, just that, how they implement, and it's the same like in the X-Files game, which I do like as well. Then you have like these cards that are like either belief or like
doubts.
So like, do you believe there's aliens or not? It's so cool how they implement in the. Oh wow! Now I lost the game name. The space one. What's it called with the space ship?
Firefly.
Yeah. In that one you have an extra part of the main board, which is your ship. So your ship can take damage as well. So it's not just the characters taking damage. I mean, every game is so well made in the. It's like I said it before on my top 100 list that I think what really, really gets me when it comes to game, really gets me hooked, is when you have good game mechanics and you combine them with a good theme. I mean, I'm not a big chess fan because, I mean, it doesn't matter how good chess mechanics are. There's no theme. And I'm not a big fan of, like, Alien versus Predator, but, like, it's a really cool game. But I can, on one turn, I rolled bad, I died. It's like, you have to have both of them, both theme and good mechanics combined. Yeah. So.
This is one of my favorite cooperative games as well. And I think it is a really good deck builder.
It is.
I think that is the strong, like, it is a good deck builder because you build your deck you build your individual decks together. You're trying to make
that's true
decks that works good together, so you can coordinate and trigger each other cards. So that is the main hook for me
That's true. Like while we play, I might go like, "Oh, Andreas should have these cards because he's going
Yeah.
for the healer strategy. While I'll do the more damage." And
Yeah.
That's the difference between Clank. I mean, Clank, when you're building your deck, you're optimizing your own deck, right? But here you want to build it sort of as a group instead. Like you say, coordinate. Like this card is really good for me, but so you save it for me because we do want to beat the things together. So that's good. Yeah, good choice.
Really, really cool game system. I can recommend all of those games.
All right. So my number 12 is the best racing game I have on my list. What can that be?
I hope it's not Ave Caesar. You have to get past it.
It's Istanbul, and Mats hates when I call this a racing game.
It's a racing.
It is sort of a racing game. I agree on that, but it's not a racing game.
Have you gotten over Ave Caesar by now?
Ave Caesar is still on my list further down. I haven't played it.
When I met Andreas in 2016 and we started playing games together, I thought it was so weird that he was so into this Ave Caesar game that was from the 80s or something.
Yeah, I grew up with that game. Yeah. But Istanbul is it feels like a race, and every decision is important, and you have to pay attention to what your opponents do, and it's quite like not so rule heavy. I don't think so. At least with the base game, it's not as rule heavy. It's a good player aid. Everything, it just clicks. And then if you want to play it more with the game, like with gamers more, you can add an expansion or two if you want to. So it just, I think it's good. It just clicks, everything just clicks in this game. And you can, I like that you can, if you want to be a gambler, you can do stuff like you can trigger certain places in Istanbul where you have to roll dice, and then you can play more of the safe route instead if you want to, and you can mix it up as well. So it fits everyone. So, some people like to roll dice and some people don't, and you can do both in this game.
But you're very good at rolling dice though.
Yeah,
of course, you have to be one with the dice. Istanbul, the best racing game on my list, Mats.
So far.
So number 11, Mats.
Number 11. Let's revisit Marco Polo, but this time number 2.
Really?
In Service of the Khan.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is actually nuances better than the original Marco Polo, but they're different enough to both have a space on my list, I think. But I consider that as well, because they are sort of similar, but they're not the same game. I think they're very different in how you play them, even though some of the mechanics are similar. It's like a Stefan Feld game, right? There's a lot of design elements in each game that's similar, but they are very different as games. And I think the same thing here as well. Some things that are important in the first game, like contracts, is not as important in the number 2. So it's not a replacement, it's a different game. So it's a different strategy, different kind of game, but I still like it's still tight as it should be. And I love the new way of how you're traveling around the game board in a sort of set collection way. I think that's super fun because it makes you sort of plan ahead, look at the game board, trying to rush for the bonuses on the city tiles, and so I love it. I think it's a good sequel to a really good game.
I agree. I like it more than the first one. I only played it once, but I lumped them together though. They're like 39 or something. Or
maybe I should do that for next time.
Yeah, but yeah, I like both games. But if I had to choose, I would rather play the new one right now. So. Okay.
Now, I've only played the sequel once as well, so I have to play more to.
Yeah, before you
really. Yeah.
So my number 11, just outside the top 10 this year. It's been in the top 10 before, I think, for a long time, or like 2 years. But it's Spirit Island. It doesn't make the cut this time. It's just outside. I love. 11 is not bad. I love Spirit Island this is one of the games that I really like. Again, cooperative game, but I like to play it solo or on 2 players. I wouldn't want to play it on more than 2. It's a very, very heavy game in not what you're doing really. I mean, you're not really doing that. The system, like what the steps you do in the game, is not that heavy to get into. But to like, you could go into total AP mode and try to optimize everything extremely. And what I really like when I play solo, like two-handed, is that I can sort of plan the combinations together, but I'm not smart enough, or my brain can't handle to do it in a super optimized way. So it's more like, oh, this guy wants to do this spirit, and the other one, he wants to do this, and oh wait, this matched up. Oh, I didn't see that coming, or the other way around. So I have a good time playing this solo, and I have the expansion. I haven't played the first expansion yet, still on my shelf, Branch and Claw, but it looks cool. And this is a game I want to play more in the future as well. It's definitely, especially solo. It's one of those games that I'm planning to play more and make more videos of as well, because I know a lot of people love this game. So I've been asked a few times, like, oh, when is your next playthrough coming? Because people want to see this.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
It's a pretty complicated game. I can totally agree. It's not on my top 20. It's one of my favorite co-op games, but it's almost too complicated. But I really like that it's not prone to alpha gaming, because
that's true.
Like,
yeah.
Especially when you're 3 players, it's almost impossible to control the game like that one player controls the game. Like, for instance, other games like Pandemic or something, where you can easily just control the entire game if you want to. Yeah. This is almost impossible. It doesn't even work on 2 players, really. It's like, all right, we know that they're going to build on mountains. All right, so, okay, I can handle these 2 mountains. Can you handle that? Yeah, sort of. And they're going to explore on this one or something, and they're going to ravage over here. Can you... what is most important? All right. It's great. And it has these combo wombo things. When you get everything, when all the cards click together, it's it's great.
Satisfying.
It's very satisfying when you can do this. Oh, now I can do 12 damage over here. And it's like, it's really cool.
Like you can build up for that also. I think that was good, right? You can build it up.
It is a deck builder as well, yeah. It's like a slow deck builder, but you do build up your deck as you go.
Yeah, that's good. Good game. Good
choice. A lot of good hand management in this one. So
my number 11 is a new game to my top. Like it hasn't been on my top 20 yet. Even it's Suburbia. It's rising. Every time I play this game, it's just better and better. I think it has a great, like, it clicks both thematically and game mechanics, just as we have talked about earlier. Everything you do in the game makes sense. I like games where it makes sense. I'm not too fond of like fantasy games and everything where you don't like, when I don't understand it really. It's easier when like building a city. Well, I know what a city is, so I can relate to it. And I like everything. I like how tiles trigger other tiles. Like when you build a restaurant, and if it's only one restaurant in the city or in the neighborhoods or whatever you call it, it's going to be very attractive. You get a lot of income, and then someone else will build a new restaurant. It's going to be the new hype thing. So your first restaurant will not generate as much income because it's not a new thing anymore. It works. It works just both mechanically and thematically. So
exactly. The game mechanics make sense, like with the theme. So
and it has an awesome collector's edition. Like this is one of the games where they nailed it.
I agree. That big box is amazing.
Suburbia, best city building game.
Good choice.
Maybe.
So now we're heading into the top 10s. It's exciting. We are going to get into the really hotness here.
And we're back from a short break, which was very needed, to dive into our top 10 games
of all time.
2020 of all time.
The list of lists.
The list of lists. Someone maybe can make a list of our lists that we are not listed yet.
One list to rule them all.
Yes, one list to bind them.
So you're number 10.
Number 10 is I've been a lot in Asia, right? Haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Marco Polo. Now we go into the
China. Yeah, yes. I know what it is.
Gugong. What I like more and more about this game is I've played it solo now a couple of times, of course, because I can't play with anyone else right now. But the card management is so fun in this game. It's such a great way of I'm so jealous of that design. I wish I would have come up with that because I think it's great. Where your cards are also opening up what you can do and how you can do it, triggers things, and then you have the bonus action on the same card as well. So I think that's great.
They're like
Great
your
work.
workers almost.
Exactly, and it's I mean you have to value your decisions in how you place the card, and the expansion came in with 3 new modules you can add to the game, either separately or all of them, and I think it's just make the game a little bit better. It didn't lose. I think it was fairly not as tight as a super tight game, but it's still fairly tight because you have to, like I said, you have to sort of value every decision you make in the order you take your cards. Do you want to do it 2 times? You want to save the cards for that, or what do you want to do? So I think it's a great game. So my number 10 is Gugong.
I have to ask you, when you played solo, did you remember to go up on the palace to the emperor so you didn't score 0 points?
I did that once. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
I
asking.
missed it, but yeah.
I already
didn't-
mentioned. I can spoil this now because when I talked about Gugong earlier on my top 100, I said there was one player I heard of that did this, got 0 points, and
Is this guy here
Yeah.
in the middle or in the left or on the right? I don't know where I am. I'm somewhere in cyberspace right now.
yeah. Good pick anyway. I like it.
Yep.
All right, my number 10 was my number 1 last year. It's fallen down from getting bored and from a new expansion that I didn't really like. This is a game where the expansions form the game. So this is Keyforge, Call of the Archons. Well, it's not Call of the Archons anymore because it's Mass Mutation that came out this year. But it's not like you can skip an expansion. Well, you could, obviously, if you're sitting at home playing with friends. But if you're playing like competitive like I've done, then, everything changes. The meta changes when a new expansion arrives. And in the new one, it sounded really cool. Like all the cards, like to start off the game, every deck is unique. But then they also made it so every card is unique, sort of, because every card could have a bonus like randomly put on it. And that sounded really fun and really cool. And it is fun for a casual game. I mean, that's why it's still my number 10. I love the game. I mean, I played it for thousands of hours, I think. But I just, I dropped out of the Swedish league online because I just can't keep up with. I would have to invest so much time in keeping up with. I'm usually not competitive when it comes to gaming, as you guys know. But when this kind of game, if I can't be good at it, then I don't want to play at all. Almost, it's like I am still top 5 overall on the the Hall of Fame list for Sweden. So I'm happy for that, and I will stay there a while because I have a lead on number 4 anyway, or number 6. So it's gonna take a while before I get surpassed, even though I'm not playing for a while. I might get back to Keyforge League, and I will definitely get back to playing Keyforge in the physical game when the world becomes normal again, and I can go visit friends and go to the game store that we had. I mean, I had a lot of fun hours over at Alara Games, and just introducing the game to people and playing with people and opening these decks. And, oh wow, I found this card here. And there's a lot of fun stuff going on in Keyforge, but it's dropped down, and it's mainly because I play it that way, like the competitive way. So
yeah, I'm surprised that you dropped so big for you, but that's what happens when you have a new expansion or a new meta game coming out. It can change the game so much, that it becomes uninteresting right away.
I almost surprised myself on how quickly it's sort of it's. I think some people call these kind of games lifestyle games. I hear people talking about you can't really play. You can't play X-Wing and play, let's say, Magic the Gathering at the same time because they both take up so much of your sort of investment if you're going to be competitive in them. So it's sort of you play one at a time. And for me, there is another game that I play all the time these days, which will come on this list, that's sort of taken over my time. So, yeah, so that's my number 10, Keyforge.
All right. My number 10 is, I'm not sure if it's a lifestyle game, but it's a series of games. I bundle It's my bundle. It's Pandemic.
Here comes Draco.
Pandemic is my number 10, or Pandemic series. Pandemic is still one of my absolute favorite cooperative games.
And you really like the base game, right?
The base game is solid. I think it's good. I play it with my wife a lot, and we don't have any. We played it so much we don't have any alpha gaming issues, if you know what I mean. I don't like to play this game with random people or new people.
Because then you become the alpha player, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't happen here. From the base games, I think the Fall of Rome is my favorite game. It's a bit more predictive. I like that. Like you can sort of plan ahead of what's going to happen. You can set up like I don't know what
Like a defensive line and so on. Right?
Yeah, you can prepare.
Yes.
You can prepare for the
Yeah.
invasion, sort of. I don't know how to say
Because
it.
they move in a certain way. It's not like in normal Pandemic, but they just pop up at some point.
Yeah, so I really like that. But the series also have amazing legacy games. So Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was amazing. Pandemic Legacy Season 2, we finally started to play it again. So me and my wife, we played it together with two of my sisters 2.5 years ago almost. And then we stopped when we decided to, like when we got a new house and everything, and we got another kid, and just stopped playing, and we haven't got back to it. So we decided to keep on playing now. So we have almost finished Season 2, and Season 2 is amazing as well. And I can't describe how much I'm looking forward to play Season 0, which will probably happen during the winter holidays or something.
Yeah. I also heard that
doesn't
you suddenly lost the game. Because of some card that was in, like, there was some special card in your copy.
Yeah, that was funny story. So in the legacy games, there are like lots of boxes and everything, numbered boxes. You can only open them when you are instructed to do so. And for some reason, I just lifted I lift up some of the boxes. I don't know why. And then there was a note below everything, which was Draco on it. It said, "If your name is Isberg, you will lose the game," or something.
That's what you love about legacy games, right? These surprises.
Anything can happen. Yeah.
It was amazing that Draco did that. I don't know when
he sneaked into your house, I think, at some point.
So
he can fly, so he's pretty fast.
Yeah, amazing. So Pandemic, still it's slightly falling on the list a little bit, but gonna stay high up for a long time, I think, still. So yeah, that was my number 10, Pandemic.
It's a good choice. Solid game. Solid games. I do agree with the Fall of Rome. I think that's by far the best one.
Yeah, me too.
So I really like that. Number 9. This is a game with Concordia Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So Concordia as a game itself, but especially with the Venus expansion, where you play in teams. I think there was so much fun because you're not allowed to speak, or you're not supposed to speak to each other. But I think that sort of, especially when you end up, I would love to play that with people I don't know, because then you don't know how they are as gamers. Because when you play in your gaming group, you know roughly a little bit of how maybe the person you end up in the team with is as a player. So, but I think that you play the card, you do the action, and your team, other player on your team also gets to do that action. So it's how you push and pull for the actions, making sure that you utilize and optimize both your turns without communicating. I think it's super fun in that way. A solid game, Concordia in itself, but I think just with the Venus expansion, I think it just blows it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. I think the game itself is It's really fun, but I get a bit tired of it. Like if I play it a few times, then I feel like I seen it all. I done all the strategies. But with the team element added in, then the variety is huge, because you never know how the other player will do. So
Yeah, I played it once with, like, where we said we agreed first that we should not be able to talk as much, and then a couple of players around the table, they were like, no, we're gonna go out in the kitchen and have a like team talk, and they did that every other action or something. But I have played it multiple times, the team variant after that, and it's as it's supposed to be played without communication, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
The game, the team element is incredible. It's a solid game, very good hand management in that game.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
great choice.
Okay, my number 9 is new to the list. I think it's the only game that is new in the top 10. I think so. Totally new. A year ago, I would have never considered putting this game on my top 100 at all. It's an older game. And it just jumped straight into number 9. It's called Ultimate Werewolf. And it's, of course, a social deduction classic game. And
only number 9?
It's
Yeah,
number
I was
9.
surprised.
Oh, you thought it would be number 1?
Yeah.
It's number 1 in terms of playtime or like play focus right now for me, but I'm trying to make the list sort of more of a...
It is like the only thing you are talking about these days.
I know, but I have to consider... Okay, so let's say it was only... If I only would rate it on Zoom online with my Dice Tower Werewolf group, then it would be number 1. But I also have to consider that this is actually a game that you can buy in the store and you can play it with friends, and then it would be maybe number 100. So then in between it becomes number 9.
I'm really curious about your other 8 games that you rank higher now. So.
Yeah, well, I will say that like it's very group dependent. So my experience of this game earlier on is very, I just played it like 2 times I think in real life, and it was okay. And I played One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which I liked more actually in real life as a social deduction game. And I played that one on Zoom as well. But I think, I don't know, it's a lot quicker. But Ultimate Werewolf, I mean, also I would say that like Ultimate Werewolf out of the box, designed by Ted Alspach, that's fun. But I really love how the group that I'm playing with now online, it like develops. So I started moderating myself, and I make up roles, and other people make up roles, and third parties. So like we have the carnival party, so it's like werewolves, the villagers, and then the carnival. And the carnival people have all the weird skills. So that's really fun how people just... It's such a creative process as well. People just make up their own stories and their own characters and how they can interact and try to find fun things going on. In my games, I've done these bots, like Guami bots as I call them, because Guami is one of the players in the group. He's my favorite player because he's really chaotic and fun. So I made a whole theme around him. And so these bots, like, they get a certain quirk. There's something wrong with their programming. So let's say Andreas is a bot. Then I, as a moderator, at the start of the game, I will tell him, okay, so you're a villager, but you're also a bot. And I will tell him something that he has to do during the game. So the game we had this weekend on a live stream, one of the players had to, every day, she had to say, oh, bodyguard, please protect me. And that's really weird, because like, why would you say that day one? Like, people would start to wonder, what's going on? Why is he saying that? And we had one of the werewolf players had a quirk saying he couldn't lie. So if someone would have asked him, are you a werewolf? He would have had to say yes. And if you don't follow your quirk, then I will kill, like the moderator will kill the player. There's so much, and I'm just working on more and more of these quirks, and I'm trying to do basically things that people normally say in the game, and I make them say it, but at inappropriate times, which makes it so much fun. So it's like I'm trying to break the meta, because in these kind of games you build up a meta when you play with the same people over and over, and just breaking that meta is so much fun. I also had one of the quirks, and I will mention just one more, which is really fun. It's like when you have to claim a role each day, and a different role each day. So we had one of the guys, Paul. He was like day one. He's starting to talk about, well, I'm the insomniac and blah blah blah, and people were like, what? There's no insomniac in this game. Nobody said anything about that. And it's just such a laugh. Had such a fun time with this.
So what is like? Do you like to play it more, or do you like to host it, or?
I don't know these days. Like I I didn't like moderating at first because I got so nervous. I didn't want to mess it up for people. So there's so much to keep track of. It's like, that's really brain burner. Like, okay, this happened, that happened, that happened. Then I have to have my spreadsheets and write everything down. But now that I started to get more into it, I really enjoy moderating because I like it, like making up those silly things that people will do and find combinations. Like, again, I like breaking the meta, like finding a meta and then breaking it, and then a new meta develops, and then I'm gonna break that one. So, like, always mess things up for player and keep it fresh, so they can't get into like, oh, we usually do this in the games, because then I will make it so. Like, one of the things they tried to do, they didn't want to kill anyone, and they tried to decide like, okay, well, if like half the people vote up, half the people vote down, then nobody will die. The fun thing was though that I made one of the players, like in the beginning, he has to vote down every time, and they didn't know about that, obviously, so that messed it up for them. So I'm just having a blast sitting there looking at it. So that's my number 9 on my list, Ultimate Werewolf.
It's like a lifestyle game for you.
It is actually. That's why Keyforge also. I don't have time to play Keyforge these days.
Yeah. We'll see next year if you are still playing with that group. Maybe it's fallen off. We'll see.
Yeah,
or something.
Or maybe it's number 1. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. My number 9 is a game that has been climbing, and it has reached top 10 now. So it's the second best dice game. Nations, the dice game.
Nations.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I really this is a game that is it's not a filler, but it's not a long game. It's somewhere in between, just like it's a bang for the buck. Like, if you invest 45 minutes or whatever it takes to play, you'll have 45 interesting minutes, I think. The base game is all right, but the expansion is incredible. It adds the asymmetric nations, also adds the green dice, what are they called?
Revolt,
dice.
right? Or
Yeah, and yeah, it's a like a dice management thing. It's very interesting. It's very different each time I play it.
I really like the asymmetrical factions in the expansion as well.
Yeah,
really good.
it makes the game a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, the base game is all right.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. So the expansion adds the Unrest expansion.
Yeah,
adds a lot of variety and everything. So
I think my favorite part of the game is that when you get a new die, you get to use it right away. So that's just, I don't know, it's just so fun that you.
Yeah, it's everything just clicks. It's a perfect game for a game night. You can like play this and then a long game, or
exactly.
I think it as well.
You managed to say it good, I think, when you say it like it has a good sweet spot for the playing time. So I mean, it's like you say, it's not a filler. It's a bit more than the filler, but it's not a full game. So it's sort of like it's a good starter game, to say it, and then you can sort of have the main course of the big game, and then you can have like a for sale or something similar as a dessert, just something light, funny. So yeah.
And every decision you take is important all the time. Like, are you investing in a tile or not? Are you re-rolling or not? Or and also when you're when you end your
turn,
passing out, as you said earlier. It's also very. It also has a game, like it's important to the game as well, because you get the benefits.
It's a choice.
And the bonus things. Yeah,
like,
it's great. Everything is good.
Yeah.
So that was
good
my
choice. So my number 8 is, I think this is solo related, but it's Maracaibo. It's a game that I love to play solo because I think the Atoma here is, I don't know if it's called an Atoma, but
the solo rules.
Solo rules are very good. You also here, you modify the deck a little bit. So you take out of a certain card, you take different. So the Atoma will be different every time you play. And then also you have the campaign element, which I think works really, really well in a solo mode because it changes each game. And I just think it's like a lot of solid mechanics, a lot of ways to play the game, even if you're just playing it solo. And I think that the solo campaign was, I think it's like 10 games or something, but I played it in 13 because we're not able to fulfill each episode in the proper fashion. So
Do you have to complete it to get to move to the next? Or?
Yeah, exactly, because it changes the whole thing. So you just have to carry it over until the next time. But I think it's a really, really good game that I want to play more with other people, not just solo, because I think still it's a solid game design. But it's just that we played it once together.
Yeah, this is a game that we all played together, so you can cross this off the have to play list.
This is off the list. Yeah. But I think I would like to play it more because I think it's a good game design. It's a lot of interesting choices in this one.
It is an interesting card mechanics play. Like the cards are interesting in this game. They have like multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose cards.
So I want to use it here. Do you want to use it there?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it more the second time I played it than the first time. So,
I think if you played it more, I think you would like it more, Andreas.
Yeah.
I think it's it's definitely a game for you, suited for your mind.
I think so too. Like, I know you don't like the story element so much, but I think the gameplay is
Yeah, the story element doesn't do it for me. Maybe in solo.
Yeah.
But not in multiplayer.
I heard it's coming as an app soon.
Oh, okay.
So, or on Steam. I don't know.
Oh,
anyway,
that's interesting. Then I will play it solo campaign mode. Yeah.
So my number 8.
All right.
Kaibo.
My number 8 has already been mentioned by Andreas, and it's a game that has climbed a lot for me as well because we played it together this year as well. It's Suburbia, and I even written down Suburbia Collector's Edition because it doesn't matter. I like the gameplay, it's the same, but I love that Suburbia Collector's box as we talked about already with the whole all the expansions, and it's like this insert, so everything is like easy to pull out. It's still a bit tricky, and you can't play with all the expansions at once. We found that out the hard way.
Yeah, that is.
You have to choose each time you play because otherwise, you only use a certain amount of tiles. So you might just the combos won't work if you. But I really like the gameplay. This is like Andreas said, he really likes it because of it makes sense building a city. I agree with that. Even though I'm usually not a big fan of like realistic games, like present time games. But I loved SimCity back in the days. Like that's one of the first, computer games I played a lot, and I love how they still kept the same. So like yellow is industry and blue is commercial. I like that it's a set for the whole genre. I really like Suburbia. I think it's such a good design, and again, Ted Osberg, so he gets 2 spots on my top 10 here.
Wow.
So and I want to play it more with you guys as well. There's so much to discover since we have all those expansions and everything. You can so much variation you can have in that game. So that's my number 8.
Right. My number 8 was number 11 last year. It was new last year. So it has climbed. It's Brass Birmingham. It's one of the... I know Joseph is not super keen on it. I think it's mainly because of the theme, maybe. But it has some very... Like, when I think about this game, I think about... It has very interesting decisions in terms of the turn order thing. This game, for me, it revolves around the turn order, how the turn order is determined. So every round, the one who spends the most money will be last in the following round. Also, the one who spends the least money will be first in the following round. So you can have very interesting scenarios where you set up to spend little money in one round and really do something awesome the next round. So you can have like multiple actions following each other. That's very, very satisfying, and the game should be played with 4 players.
Agree.
Not 3 players. It's a lot better with 4 players. Much more tight and everything. It's not like how do you say tight economics. I don't feel the tightness of the economy in this game. I think I'm almost always free to do whatever I want because I can always take a loan. It's it's more the places on the map where I want to play that. So it has also an interesting hand management aspect to it. And if I look at my games here, most of the games that will follow also has hand management is a key thing in the game. So yeah, it's a game. It's interesting.
It's a great game, and I totally agree on the 4-player. What you're not mentioning that I like about it is also the map building thing. I think that's super interesting part of the game.
Is this not on your list? Not?
It is on his list.
Okay.
It is
It's coming
coming.
later. Okay.
I can promise you. Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it's number 7.
It's a really good game, though.
Yeah, you will talk more about it later. Right.
Okay, number 7 for me. We travel once again to the West Kingdom, but in this time we do it as architects. And that also just got an expansion this year. It is called the Artisans. So you have basically a stronger worker. Counts as 2 when you place them, but not when they're standing. They don't count as, they only count as 1. But while you're placing them, they count as 2, so you can make some more powerful moves using that guy. And I like the aspect of how much are you willing to invest in each worker placement space until someone comes and arrests your people and send them to jail to get money, or do I need to go and send my own guys to jail to get them back so I can use them again or not? I think that's a really, really great
it's a twist on worker placement. Like,
yes,
it's kind of like bumping, but in like a prolonged way. So first you have to arrest them, and then they gotta get released from jail before you get them back.
But the thing is, they can take them, but they don't have to send them to jail until later on. So they can just hold them, and to get them, you have to pay a lot more and take more debts basically to be able to get them from them, so you can use them in doing your actions, because you also lock them up in while building on the cathedral, etc. So I think it's a really, really, I think it's my favorite worker placement game due to that interaction is very, very nice in that game, where you always have to, okay, I do want to put 1 more here because next time I can go and pick gold, but then someone takes your guys away, so you can't do that. So yeah,
I wonder if you would like it, Andreas.
It sounds interesting when you describe it.
You haven't played it yet?
No.
Oh,
I mentioned it earlier. So
I liked it in a way, but it's like I did played it once, and I just ran around and arrested everyone because it was fun to be annoying, and it didn't work out. I didn't win on that, so I don't know.
You don't have to arrest people to be annoying, Josef. You can do that anyway.
And you're not competitive.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's like when I play. It's the same thing when I play the social deduction games. It's actually what I do. I just try to mess things up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
you're banned from them now.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Christmas comes early this year, huh?
My number 7 has been mentioned already, and I'm not going to talk too long about it, but it's The Pursuit of Happiness. Such a good mix of theme and mechanics, and as you said, Andreas, it's almost more the journey, the experience of it than, like, it's more the theme than the mechanics in this one. And I like how it's so different from time. Like, you're basically telling a story during the game, sort of, and that could be so different from each play. So there's a lot of ways to go. You could go heavy into like getting a lot of money and then buy a lot of points by buying items, basically, or like luxury goods. Or you can just, focus on relationships. And I like how the game has this. So, I mean, if you want to, you can have like 2 partners, but that's going to be really stressful. So like you can sort of do whatever you want, but you have to, it's like realistic consequences to whatever you're doing. So much fun with this game. And again, those expansions, I really like the community expansion, and I look forward to playing the other expansions as well coming. It's on Kickstarter right now, right? With the big box.
It's closed, I think.
Oh, it's closed.
Yeah, it's a great game. I only played it once, that's why it's not on my list, but I really loved it. So I need a few more games under my belt but it's probably going to end up on my top 10 list. It's a great game, so I really like it.
So that's my number 7.
All right, so my number 7 has been mentioned earlier by Mats. It's my favorite dice placement game. It's The Voyages of Marco Polo. So,
no surprise there.
So it's not the number 2 because I've only played it once, so I can't really. I can't place it on the list yet. But what I like about this game is the economy. It's very tight, which makes every action very important. And I also love the asymmetric play powers. It is amazing. Every play power is rule breaking, and you're always jealous about.
You always want to be someone else.
Yeah, like because you can't really see how good your own is. You always see, oh, you can do that. Oh, I can do that, and you're always like, oh, I wish I could do that. But
that's the funny thing, right? Everybody's jealous of everyone else.
Yeah,
this player power because it's
that made something very special in this game because you're always jealous about everyone else.
Yeah.
So we have covered this game earlier here, so I'm not gonna linger on, but it's great. My number 7.
It's a good place for it, I think. My number 6 then is also been mentioned already. It's the Castles of Burgundy. It's high up for me. I think
you play it solo though as well, right?
Yeah, I tried it 2 times. No, 3 times. But anyways, I think it's just a great. It's not a light game because it's kind of heavy, keeping all the tiles what they do and everything. And I mean, like we mentioned before, the design of the game is horrible. Of not the game design, but the design of the game.
Yeah.
It's someone should be shot at the Layer Games. I don't know. But it's a great game. So my number 6 is Castles of Burgundy.
So if you don't have anything to add to it, I was going to say that we're really looking forward to play the so-called sequel, the Castle of Tuscany.
I have played it.
We should mention it that it has been getting really good reviews actually. So I'm really looking forward to play it.
Yeah, I played it on my own, just the 3 players, just to learn it and see what's different. But it was super interesting and a lot quicker. I mean, if we play it, if we would do it within 45 minutes, 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think it would be perfect.
It's going to be, it's sort of like, if you think the Nations, the dice game,
I
think this is the equivalent version of, I mean, so yeah, it seems solid.
Sounds very promising. So.
I wasn't that exciting at first about it, but then I checked some playthroughs and it looks really fun. So
yeah, really.
And what I liked was super tension is now we're talking about a different game, but when you have these 3 stacks of tiles, so every time one stack runs out, you do a scoring, right? So it's a race mechanism in that as well.
Yeah.
So you can push the game much quicker if you want to. So
cool.
Maybe it will show up next year.
Yeah.
I think so, actually. Somewhere on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
My number 6 has been my number 1 in some year, but it's down here now. It's called Gaia Project. The Gaia Project is an awesome game, but sadly I haven't played it this year. And I mean, at some point I do want to play it with you guys again as well. And I really like. I mean, Gaia Project. It's Terra Mystica on steroids and in space, and it's so much better in my opinion. The more I played Gaia Project, the less I feel like playing Terra Mystica. I played Terra Mystica this year actually on Board Game Arena. And I just felt like, wow, it's not the same. Like it's like I don't know. I really like the space element and like we can fly around. You don't get blocked in and so on. And Gaia Project has this like asymmetrical. Every faction is so different and how you play and what you're doing, and it works actually. Like I like how it's so even though they're so different, it still works. So yeah. I just love Gaia Project. There's not much more to say about it. I made videos of it and solo, and I think I will play it solo at some point during the winter. I will pull it up on the table. I have a nice insert for it now, actually, from eRaptor, so it's easy to set up. So yeah, awesome game. Go check it out more on the channel if you're curious. And
that is a really good game. So
it's great.
It's not on my top list because we don't play it anymore, basically. But it's a great game.
So for me, I like Terra Mystica as well. I like the tension that Terra Mystica has with the blocking thing that you mentioned that you do not appreciate. So I miss that in Gaia, but I don't know what you call it, but the tracks.
Oh yeah, the technology tracks. Yeah,
the tech tracks makes so much more sense in Gaia Project.
I agree.
That thing is so much better. So yeah. Maybe a combination of them both. I don't know.
Terra Project or Gaia Mystica?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it shows up.
Maybe we can just put them in the blender and pour all the content in one from the games in one box and then just randomize. Okay.
Sounds good. So what's your number 6, Andreas?
Yeah, so my number 6 is a game that it has been falling. No, it fall this time. It has been rising and now it's fall. It was my number 2 last year, so it's my number 6 now. It's Great Western Trail. It will certainly show up on someone else's list after this later on. But this game is a masterpiece. It's the first game I call a masterpiece here now. I think it's so good in every way. Last time I played it, I got really hammered. No, hammered. I couldn't say something else in English maybe, but I got beaten by Mats by so many points. So I was.
He's been practicing though.
Yeah, I was sort of devastated after that game because I thought I was sort of good in that game.
I thought you were as well. I'm surprised to hear this.
But what I like about this game is that you can sort of make your own fortune by every game is different depending on what workers show up, but you still have to you're going to buy the engineers or the other types and
Builders.
everything. Yeah, every time it's a unique puzzle. I think every game is different, and it also has an interesting hand management thing. I think you
like cows also.
Yeah, it's just a bonus that is cows. But solid game. A game that has an expansion that is all right. You don't have to play it. You can play with it.
Have to play with the expansion.
Yeah, you like it. I like it as well, but I don't have to play it.
Exactly. I like it, but you don't need it. But yeah, it's a great game, and it's one of the few games where I actually can win over Andreas in. So that's probably why it's one of my favorite games too.
All right. So number 5.
Moving on.
Number 5.
This is Endeavor Age of Sail is my number 5. Andreas, you mystified. I think it's been here for the last year as well. This has been played a few times this year, but it's a great game. With the new expansion, I think was Age of Expansion. I think it was called, released earlier this year.
Is the name of the expansion Age of Expansion?
It's really clever.
Yeah, it's very good. Add some good modules to the game and new buildings that actually takes the game to the next level, where you can plan and make your action stronger if you're prioritizing correctly. But it's a great sort of area majority action selection kind of system, engine building in so many ways that I think it's really satisfying to play as well. A little bit of take that, but it's not that harmful. But it can tip the game in any favor if done correctly. So it's one of the few games where I like the sort of up high on my list where there's actually take that. So
I agree. I mean, it's I don't know what it was on my list, but it's a really good game. Really enjoy it.
Would like to play it more, but I mean,
it's nowhere near top 20 for me.
No.
I wonder if we're gonna keep doing these every year. If every time you mention it, Mats, Andreas will make a weird face.
Yeah, probably still gonna be surprised.
Yeah, he's gonna be surprised every year. Yeah. Okay, my number 5 is a game that Andreas likes though. It's called Robinson Crusoe: Adventures on the Cursed Island from Ignacy Trzewiczek, Portal Games. This is one of those games where the mechanics of the game, it's a worker placement game. I don't really care about the mechanics that much. It's the story and the events and how the game evolves. The experience of the game. You usually lose in this game. That's standard sort of, and then you win once in a while, which is really fun. But
I have to interrupt you. It is also my number 5.
It is okay. Then we can just talk to it together. Yeah.
It's my number 5.
I knew you were gonna have it on the list. I didn't know which number, but yeah. So I mean, I'm just gonna say that again, it's like one of those games where I can remember when playing with you and your wife and what happened in the game still a year after we played. So that's a testament to how good the game experience is. So
thematic masterpiece. I've written like small words for the game. So thematic masterpiece. It just everything is just makes sense somehow. Like you can relate to everything, and it's fun to play. You laugh a lot. It's like even though that you're dying, everything is fun with the game. Sort of. It's extremely hard. It's one of the co-op games that you often lose, and I can respect that. It's
because
you have to
I mean, it
get
fits the
lucky
theme.
with it.
You're on a deserted island. You're trying to survive. Of course, it's going to be rough. I mean, it's like, and I always liked that theme. Like you know, ever since I was a kid, I loved the Robinson Crusoe, the book, and the novel. So I like the theme.
Yeah. No, we played it, Andreas, just a short. We didn't finish the first one, but
And we played a few rounds of the first scenario.
Yeah.
just to-
So it was. I liked it too. I mean, it's definitely a game I would like to play with you guys, just as a co-op casual gaming night where you have going more to create memories than
Compete and
challenging the mechanics of the game, basically. So
this one you can right now. This one we have to play together.
Yeah.
Someone take notes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
we could maybe play this online if we like a Zoom or something.
We talked about like last night. Me and Andreas talked about like I can have another camera and share the camera on my table, and if we play a co-op game, we could do it
We should
like
be able
that.
to do that, right?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm up
think
for
about
doing that someday soon.
Yeah.
That would be fun, like in the holidays, like or something when you.
Let's try to do that. I'm for it.
Okay, so that was both of our number 5s then. So we go straight to 4 then for Mats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4 takes us below, where you build cities in water or underwater. I don't know how to call it. Is it underwater or is it underwater?
Underwater.
Underwater.
It's one word.
Yeah. Underwater
It's
cities.
both.
So
It is underwater as well.
yeah, it's actually, but it's in water, right?
Oh yeah, you can't really be under the water because then you would be
because
the bottom of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, underwater cities is my number 4. This is a game where I always end up last. I've played it like 3 times with you, Andreas, and then with Emily, and then I played it a couple of times solo. But it's fantastic in how many a mix of all kinds of mechanics basically is tossed into a game, but it's at the same time it's still kept in a really tight way to make it sort of a super challenging game for timing decisions and trying to optimize your it's hand management again, I think, in terms how
it's really crunchy.
Yeah, it's really crunchy, and I think I want to get better at it because I think it's such a lovely game in all mechanics way, and I think this theme makes perfect sense as well.
Yeah.
And the expansion that was released with the museum board and everything, I think that also made sense and made the game just sort of like a good expansion that doesn't remove any tightness in the game, just makes it more frustrating because you need to consider one more thing.
The start of the game is improved with the I think it's called the quick start module or something like that, and where you have asymmetric. Every player has one asymmetric card, which gives you a really good like effect or action you can do. Yeah, it's really good. You need the expansion, I would say. I will never play the base game again.
Especially those boards as well, like the
dual layer boards. Nice. That's a good. True. So my number 3 then, number 4. Sorry.
Number 4, yeah. Okay, my number 4 is a game that I haven't played this year, but like the memories of this game is really strong for me, and I will get back to it. It's on my shelf. It's ready. It's painted. Everything. It's 7 Continent, and I love this adventure. And I played through the base box when I got it, and then I just haven't. It's sort of like this is one of those games that like I'm not gonna play it for one evening, right? So when I pull it out, I just want to play through a whole story in one sweep. So that's sort of. But at some point, I will get back to it and play the expansions. I got all the expansions now, and Martin, my friend, painted the whole thing, so it's really lovely. Painted all the miniatures and all that. The first time I played, I didn't even use the miniatures. I used the standees because you get both with the game. But yeah, this is like the adventure game. You go around. It's all cards. It's like 1,900 cards, I think, total now. And you know, even if you're not playing with a certain expansion, you put in all the cards, and then it's random what you might encounter and so on. And it's amazing how they made this game. Like it's just cards, but they tell a story. They do mind puzzles. They do combat. They do exploration, and you're hunting, and you need food to survive. And it's like sort of open world. Sandbox style game, but you have a goal, so you're sort of trying to find. But you can wander around for a long time and not find what you're looking for, and that can be a bit frustrating. But I've had such a fun times with this game, and these weird things that happen. Like I played solo mostly. I played a little bit 2 players, but mostly I played solo, and I mean you encounter things like it makes sense. Like I'm just gonna take one example. I don't want to tell you too much about the game because then I would spoil stuff, but at one point you fall down a cliff, and if you're playing with multiplayer, then you read one of the outcomes. If you're playing solo, you read the other outcome. So if you play multiplayer, then a friend reaches down with his hand and grabs you, and you get up again. But since you're playing solo, nobody's there to help you, so you fall down into the river, and then you end up on another place on the map all of a sudden.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
So depending on that, so many interesting. I don't know.
It's a great storytelling game.
It is, yeah, and it's like you're telling the story while you play, sort of.
Yeah.
It's
So I have this game. I own this game as well, and I really like it. My wife is not so keen into the theme, so I've been more and more realizing that I will probably keep this game for when my kids grow up.
Yeah.
So I don't know what age they need to be. They have to be teenagers, I think.
I think so too.
It's a bit like it's gonna be horror and stuff.
There's some horror elements and so on.
Yeah. So, but I might keep it until then. So my oldest one is soon 6. So just another
10 more years.
10 years maybe. We'll see.
It's the most expensive game I ever gotten as well. The all-in pledge. There's so much content in it. So that's it.
The game never stuck with me though. I bought it and I sold it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Something's wrong with you, Mats. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. A lot of things are wrong with me.
Well, yeah.
All right. So my number 4 is the most hyped game from last year. It's Wingspan. I think it was number 100 for you.
It was my number 100 this year.
So I'm glad I made it into.
Yeah, it made it into top 100.
So the reason why this game is so high on this list is because it's one of the games that I get to the table most often nowadays.
Yeah.
So I play it almost like a 2-player experience. Sometimes I play with 3 players. I can play with more as well. I don't like the game length when it's 4 or 5 people, especially with new people. It takes forever. I taught my friends on Ireland the game during the early months of COVID. It took me 4 hours to play a 3-player game. I will never do that again on Tabletopia. But the game itself, I like it's different every time. You have to make best use of what you get. It has a solid hand management thing. I'm gonna keep on mentioning hand management. I think it's very important in this game. And it's an engine builder. I like engine builders. So I just received the new expansion,
Oceania.
I can't. I don't even know how to pronounce that in Swedish. So, and they have replaced the boards now. So the game has for me they are taking a good game and making it better.
I like how the game evolves. So for each expansion.
So
it's a good game. It's just like one of those games where I don't get to play it nowadays. We played it a lot in the beginning when it came out, and I kind of liked it a lot. But then I haven't just played it. But I think it's a good game as well. It's like, especially like you said, with each expansion, with the European expansion, where you had more interaction and you had the round end stuff popping up, which made the game more sort of I have to consider what other people are doing as well a little bit more. So
and they added even more in the new expansions. So
okay, cool.
With the nectar and everything. So it's great. I wonder
to try
where
that one.
they will take this game. How many expansions? If they will release one for each.
Yeah, one for each
continent.
continent, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a nation one as well, probably.
They hinted the big box
African.
coming.
Yeah.
I need a big box.
Could he do a Martian birds?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
If they find some birds on Mars.
Yeah, maybe.
But they are birds on Mars. At least in there's a card in Terraforming Mars that has birds. So
I think those birds come from Earth, though. I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe we import them then. What a segue to number 3.
Which is
Terraforming Mars.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so is it your number 3?
Yeah, it's my number 3.
It's my number 3 too.
Okay,
as well. So we can talk about it together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those games. I play a lot to play, especially with 2 people, which is also always very fun. I think because not in terms of, but it's more of optimizing than getting it as.
You get a lot of more. It's sort of like you do more when you're fewer players because you still have to terraform the whole thing.
And you still have time to play as many cards as well, depending on in what kind of mood you are. So it can be very satisfying, but it can also be very frustrating when playing with someone who is a bit more luckier than you are, maybe drawing the cards. But I think what grows on me, especially in the Terra, is the map building. I'm always drawn to that, trying to find a good way of scoring points on the map. I think that's super fun.
For me, it became this year, of course, as well. But overall, it's more and more a solo game for me. I mean, it's been that earlier as well. But I like it multiplayer as well. But it would be lower today on my list if I were just going by multiplayer. So I mean, solo. It's my favorite solo game still, because of the combination of like, sure, you want to get a lot of points, but you have to complete the terraforming first. Otherwise, you don't get to counter points. I like that so much.
It's a good balance.
Yeah, and now these days I played it a bunch, of course, on the digital version on Steam. And yesterday they released the Prelude expansion, and I think you have to play with the Prelude expansion these days. I don't want to play the base game anymore at all. I would love. I mean, if I put it on the table, solo or multiplayer, I want to have Venus next and Colonies as well. I don't really care for Turmoil these days. But I really like the Colonies. I think that's really good. That's an expansion as well. So like, especially in the solo game, because like it opens up. So there's another way to find titanium or whatever. Because if you play just base game solo Terraforming Mars, you might never see a card that gives you energy production during the whole game. No. So it's so much randomness in that. So I like that there's different ways to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve. It's really
one of the few games that I enjoy playing solo. I'm not a solo player, but it works. I play it solo on my phone.
You need to get Prelude, obviously.
But I like the solo challenge, even in the base game. But I also tried the Prelude thing. I was in the beta.
Oh yeah, you did the beta, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I will save my thoughts.
Yeah, I do that. It's coming later. Okay, so that was our
number 3 then. So now it's your number 3, Andrea.
All right. So my number 3 was just mentioned. So we have a lot of crossovers now, but that is the way it works, I think. So my number 3 is Underwater Cities. So this is a game. This game has skyrocketed onto and you mentioned when you talked about it earlier. It's I agree on everything. What I like most with the game, I don't know. I like everything about this game, but when I think about it, it has the worker placement thing combined with the card play is such a cool puzzle, combined with the small hand size that you have. So you have to make hard decisions all the time on what you want to do. Right, I really want to do a yellow action because the yellow actions are super strong. I don't have any yellow card right now. Can I hope to draw a yellow card, or what can I do instead? So all the time you're facing interesting decisions, and it has the perfect. I like games which are tactical. Like you have to do the most of what you're given, and in this game you have 3 cards. Like I rarely use a worker space that does not match the color. I don't like that.
It seems like a waste, right?
Yeah, it feels so bad. Yeah.
So I always try to, and it just works.
Yeah, this is my number 21, so it's the one that was just outside this episode. So.
Yeah. And it keeps getting better. The first time I played it took so long. It was super long. I was like, I'm not going to get it to the table so often, but it's still a long game. But we play it on like 35 to 40 minutes per player.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
No, I'm going to teach it to a friend tomorrow. Actually, it's going to be interesting to see how it works, because it really going to test my skills as a game teacher, I think. But hopefully I can give it sort of a good introduction to the game.
Yeah. So that was my number 3, Underwater Cities.
All right.
Excellent.
Coming into number 2 then for me, this game has been mentioned already, not by Joseph, but because it's not his kind of game, but
I know what it is.
It's Brass Birmingham. I think it's like you said, Andreas, you already touched on a lot of things, but like what I like the most about that game is the map interaction, where you build your network, score your routes in the 2 different phases as well. That you first do the canal era, where you sort of remove everything and then you have to rebuild the trains. I think that's just a brilliant way, and you leave the buildings to that are level 2, so you can score from these again if you're
and have outposts.
It's going to be a race to get to the bigger cities, and then also you can transport things on the rails that's not yours, but you can utilize the transport and stealing beer from other players or these kind of things. It's a fantastic game, and like you said, the turn order decision is magnificent in that game, and how it's turn order is so key in that game, so it's fun to see. My number 2, so that's good.
Okay, so my number 2 has been
Did you
mentioned.
notice how uninterested Joseph?
I
Brass, he's like,
zoned
okay,
out.
I go check my emails, and
I
you know.
zoned out. I'm like,
It's
I'm
all right.
talking to Draco over here.
You
Yeah.
don't have to like every game.
No, you don't have to like every. My number 2, though, I know that you guys like as well. It's Seven Wonders Duel, and it's climbed a lot for me. It's been in my top 10 for a long time, or like sort of in the top 10. But I mean, with the Agora expansion, this is like the main thing that happened to me board gaming wise this year, is the Agora expansion. It's so good. It's like and I think other reviewers and so on have talked about this as well, so I'll be repeating, but I totally agree with that. Like the whole system is like, I love the Pantheon expansion. That was awesome for the game. The base game is so and so in my opinion. It's a fun game, but it wouldn't be in my top 10. But with the Pantheon expansion, the game became so good. And in Pantheon, you do a few things during the game that are really affecting the game. Like you have these gods that so you do a few really cool things. And in Agora, you're doing a lot of small different things that also affect the game in ways, but it's like constantly going. So I like it more than Pantheon even. Again, as we talked about earlier, I want to play the both expansions together, which I only tried once, against Draco. But I really look forward to playing that against you guys in the future when we can sit down and play it. I mean, I played on Board Game Arena. And me and Andreas played it with Agora just yesterday from when we're recording this, so that's on the channel. And it's such a good game. Like every little decision is rough. Like you're always like, oh, do I want to do that or that? Do I take this card or that card? It's amazing how you just there's not that many components in the game, but like the game design is so brilliant. How the whole drafting with the pyramid, and as you said, Andreas, like the cards are hidden, so I want to take? I want that card, but if I take it, then that will open up 2 cards. Maybe you get what you need. Or different winning conditions. Such a good game.
Brilliant.
And I think the Agora expansion makes the military track better. It's
Yeah.
It affects the Senate. It's small things. It makes the blue cards better. Blue cards always been like
exactly. They
something. It's great all around. And it's I'm not really keen to like games where have like take that elements and everything, but in this game it makes sense.
It's 2-player. That's what works for me.
Yeah, and also it's such an investment for the other, like to prepare a conspiracy, as it is called. You have to like first recruit a politician that is a conspirator, and then you have to prepare it, and then you have to. So when we played, you had like three prepared ones. I was like, this is gonna go really bad.
I just mainly did it because it was so fun that I knew you were sweating about it and like, what's gonna happen?
I was like this. Oh, I can't even imagine what you're gonna do to me later on. So you gain a lot of points. I was in a solid lead. I think.
We're not gonna say how it ended, but I did, do good the last rounds.
So I think you touched on a very good point, Andreas. How you make a good expansion when you take the weakest thing in a game and you make that stronger.
Yeah,
that's really, really good. I think, I think, and the Senate thing seems just to be adding more thought process to the whole thing, and also how you play that round. So I'm looking forward to playing that a lot.
The game is a little bit meatier now.
Yeah, it is. I will also say one more thing, actually, that this year, Bruno Catala, the designer, made a solo variant, like an official solo variant that you can download for free from the website. And I made a playthrough of that as well. But that's a really good solo mode. I had a tough time trying to beat Caesar and so on.
I tried it as well. Yeah, it's really hard.
So and that's just a base game, but it works really good. And I think he said he is planning to put in the expansions there as well. So
cool.
All right. So number 2 for Andreas.
Yeah, so my number 2 has been mentioned earlier. It's Concordia.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. So
it's the Venus part mostly, right? Or
I really, really, really like Venus as the game itself.
Yeah.
Anyway, Concordia by itself, but the team variant just makes the game. Well, I don't mind playing on my own as well. I think it is my game. It has very interesting hand management in this game, and it has multi-purpose cards. Like you buy the cards not only for getting better, stronger actions, but also to try to build because every card gives you like end game scoring conditions. Everything is interesting in this. And what you are paying attention to what the opponents are doing, which is also a good thing. But I like multiplayer solitaire as well. But this is somewhere in the perfect mix for me.
I agree. Yeah.
I like it. So everything I said earlier, and this I think the hand management is the best part of this game.
Yeah,
it's very, very satisfying when you play the Tribune card, I think it's called, when you pick up your discard pile, and when it is the last card you have in hand or something. It's such a
you get more and more coins the longer you wait.
But also you have used more better actions, I think.
Yeah, you've been more optimizing. Yeah,
depends on what you.
But it's good when you get rewarded for being a good player, right? I mean, when you're planning your turns and utilizing your actions the most, and you also get rewarded for that, I think that's a positive thing. So,
a team game.
Yeah,
it's excellent.
Good choice.
Okay, so now the big one, number 1.
Number 1.
I know what your number 1s are. I wonder if you know what my number 1 are. But let's start with Mats. I will let you say it yourself.
You totally upsetted your list, Joseph, this year, so I'm really hard. But I have an idea, but I won't dare to guess. But my number 1 is Great Western Trail.
Cows.
I like them cows.
The cow game.
Yeah. I think this is a really fun game, and I think it's one of the few games where I actually can look at the game board and sort of build a strategy around it in a way, and I keep that focus throughout the whole game. So it's probably because I don't know. We just connect me in the cows. I don't know. I don't know why, but it just works for me. So I think it's. I mean, we mentioned most of the stuff already, but
Yeah, but that is probably what what have made you excel at the game, because that you somehow you have started to like analyze the starting board state and make up a strategy from that. I really like games where you can find the strategy during the game, but I can't play it like that any longer versus you. It doesn't work. So yeah.
No.
I like the way I like to play the game as a.
But the thing is, you can have your
exploration.
starting strategy as an idea, but I mean, along the way, you probably have to make adjustments to that because there's going to pop up some buildings, there's going to pop up some costs, etc. So you have to adopt to it. And I think that's what I like about it. That's like you can have a core strategy, but you still need to adopt how the game board develops and what the other players are doing. So yeah, it's my number one.
You play this solo as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like unofficial variant, right?
There's a few good ones actually. Yeah.
I was just about to mention that it has a bunch of different.
I played 3 different versions now, and I think the last one I found is by far the best one. I think.
Okay. You have to send that to me. I will try that at some point.
Yeah, I'll. Yeah, we can probably make. Yeah, I'll see if I can. I don't remember the name of it right now, but
I would like to try it solo. I mean, I like the game, so.
Yeah. So.
All right, so I'm gonna let's see here. I'll give you a little clue on my number one.
Oh, Gloomhaven.
Yeah, it's Gloomhaven. This is Jaws of the Lion that is standing on the table in front of me. But I'm putting them together, and if you take Gloomhaven, which was my number 3, and it's been my number 3 for like 2 years, and then you may have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which is in some ways a better game even, then you get number 1. This was an obvious number 1.
3 plus 1 is 1.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Exactly. I mean, and then we have Frosthaven coming up as well, which I of course can't include here because I haven't played it yet. But I mean, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, I only played through the tutorial so far. I mean, this game, it's so amazing. It's like, and the funny thing is also that if someone would have asked me like a few years ago, like, oh, do you want to try a game that is like hex grid movement and fighting, and I mean, that part I wouldn't have been so excited about, but that's actually the part I like a lot these days because it's so tight, like every decision and you know, like I love the story, obviously the theme and the fantasy setting, and you're getting experience, you're leveling up, you get new skills, you get new cards, the whole hand management. Again, this is the ultimate hand management hand management game, because you always have these agonizing choices. Okay, should I play this card or that card? And then you play 2 cards, and you do the top part of one and the bottom part of the other one, and then you have like these battle goals. So like I played the game I just live streamed a few days ago. I had one of my characters had this battle goal where you can't use the basic action during the whole game because then you fail the goal. So you can't play a card for the basic action. You have to do the actual text on the card. Those battle goals mess it up so much. And like you have your modifier decks. I love that. It's like this idea of you have a die that determines, like there's a lot of dungeon crawlers where you roll dice and determine how things go. But here, instead of having the die, you have a modifier deck of cards. And that will, as you level up, you will modify that deck. Some enemies will curse you, so you have to put in more miss cards in the deck during the game. So it makes it worse. And you can't do that with a die. So that's just such a brilliant design. And I love the storytelling. That's like the storytelling is like in between the missions. But the combination of storytelling and great combat movement. Such a good game. I'm looking forward to play 20 more missions of this, and then next year Frosthaven is coming. So yeah, I think you guys have tried this, right? Or
yeah, I bought it and sold it, but because due to the digital version being released, I figured if I'm going to play this, I'm probably going to play it solo or with someone where you can't meet. So it's better to play it online.
Yeah, it takes
forever. We tried it. Yeah. We tried it online, you and me. And I think it's a fun game. I mean, I like the card management, like you say. I think that's one of the strongest aspects of that game. I can't really speak to the rest of the content, but I think we did like 3 dungeons or something just to try it out.
Yeah.
And I like the gameplay of it. I think the how you need to considering and
I like that the cards are also your life. So like
Exactly.
if you use the strong cards, you get a good effect, but then you're getting closer to dying, sort of.
And also, I mean, do I go for that treasure, or do I save that? I mean, that card to do something else, because you have to manage things, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's quite complex. I would say Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. I mean, now that because you get into a groove. So like when I play Gloomhaven, I know the characters fairly well. So I just sort of know what to do with them. And then I have totally new characters now with new mechanics to them. So then it's like it almost feels like Spirit Island again, because it's like so grindy. Like when I play solo with two characters, like okay, so he's gonna go there and do that, but then she's gonna go there, but then she needs to move before him. So then I need to play a lower numbered card, so she will get initiative order. But if I play the lower numbered card, then she's not going to do what I want her to do. So then I need to do this other thing, which means the other guy also needs to do something else. It's so much fun when it all clicks together. It's such a good experience. So yeah, so that's my number one, Gloomhaven and Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion combined. So
Yeah, I wonder when I'm gonna try that. I already have.
Yeah, you have to.
you should try Jaws of the Lion, because that's like in a realistic time frame for a campaign as well. It's 25 missions instead of 100. So
Okay. Yeah.
But you can do it
solo
online
game.
also. I mean,
yeah, you can do it online.
maybe it's easier to squeeze in an hour every now and then.
And I will also say, by the time this video has been posted, there has been a live stream a week ago. This is anachronistic to say, but you can go check out a live stream when I play multiplayer online with two friends. So that's going to happen. So you can see the multiplayer online as well.
And if you blink, you'll miss it. Blink, anachrony, something.
Exactly.
Blinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what Andreas could have here as his number one. Do you have any clue, Mats?
No.
I know he likes the cat game.
I don't.
When you're trying to find the cat. Yeah.
You're pointing to something. Yeah. Yeah. So my number one is Terraforming Mars. It was not the obvious choice. It was not the obvious choice last year either, but because there are so many good games out there. But this pandemic, like I was thinking about what game do I want to play most of all games, and the game I want to play most is Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
So it just like that was the deciding factor. I played so much, so I have like experienced fatigue from it, or when you're getting a bit tired of it. But then we added every expansion, we played every expansion, more expansions, include everything, every game all the time. But then we started to play, take out one expansion. What happens if we don't play with Venus or something? And I like almost all the combinations of the game. I think the last expansion, Turmoil, is the weakest one.
Yeah,
I don't mind playing with it. But if I have anything to say with what expansions to include, I'm not including that one. So for me, it's one of the games that I fell in love with because of exploration. For me, it was a big exploration thing. Played so many games, and every game was different. And I think I played over 100 games now in multiplayer, and it's just like from game 70 or something, I was starting to see I'm playing a game that I played earlier, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It feels like I've played this game once before. It's a testament to how the replayability of this game. Some people don't like the draw of the luck of the draw thing to it. I think it's just a matter of play style.
Yeah, it is. It is adapting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the stream I did last night with Prelude, and where I let every time it was a drafting phase, I paused a little bit so the viewers got to say which card should I take, and it was so interesting how we disagreed. Like a lot of times the viewers were like, you have to take that card, and I'm like, no, I've never taken that card. It's interesting how there's so many different strategies, during the gameplay, it's like you walk down a road and there's so many crossroads, you could go this way or that way and that way and that way, and in the end you end up somewhere
out in the meadow, no long way from the roads.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out, and then in the end, Patrick from our game group, he always wins.
Yeah,
but I beat him once though.
I beat him last time, so
I think I beat him once as well, but it was a long time ago. Yeah,
it's great. So that is my number one, Terraforming Mars.
Good choice.
Well, awesome lists. It was interesting to do 20 this time. It's a really
was
long
really interesting.
video, but it was interesting to speak a little, have a little bit more meat in the video than we did previous years, where it was just 10. And it also gives a wider perspective for the viewers on your guys' game taste as well. So you know.
But we are almost like we are a little bit more used to talk to each other in this format, not on video maybe, but we have our Swedish podcast as well. So
Snacka brädspel. You can check that out if you understand Swedish.
Yeah, so it's fun to do this effort together. It's really fun.
It is.
And I mean, you guys have been. I mean, I think some people might be like, "Oh, who are these guys?" But I mean, if you go back, we've been doing this every year, and we also did some playthroughs together with different games and so on. And I hope we can do more of that in the future as well. I mean, of course, when we can get, you guys can come over to the studio, we can do more of that. So
looking forward to that time, those times again. When
we
start playing. Because, like you said in the beginning, it's like this has been a different year in terms of discovering new games and
no conventions, just that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So we were going to Essen together. Essen didn't happen.
Yeah.
And like you often bring new games to the table, Joseph, because of the very nature of your YouTube channel. But it's one of the reasons why we haven't played so many new games. I think it's the main reason. So I have a couple of games in the mail coming over, new games. So.
I think it's also funny because maybe it's time to rediscover old games as well, because you maybe don't get those new games because you don't go to Essen, or that you stay with some of the old ones and maybe play those once or twice again. So I think it's not all doom and gloom.
And next year will be better.
Yeah. And that's why I love expansions, because like Seven Wonders Duel, I mean, I knew a few months ago, I knew I loved the game, but then it's sort of like when the new expansion arrives, then I get the reason to play it again, and then I just remember, oh wow, I love this game so much. All right, thank you so much to you guys for joining. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having us. It's fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And I think
good time. Good time. Yeah.
I think Drake
by the way,
happy in the end.
Don't forget to turn off the camera though.
When I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
This is a real bed.
It's not fake. I want to see you lay down in that, because I don't believe it's a real bed. I think it's just a picture.
I'm not going to do that.
we can tuck you in digitally here.
I'm gonna close this one.
We have to keep the show kids, family friendly. So All right. Thank you to the viewers. It's been great having you watching this long video. I hope you enjoyed it, and let us know in the comment section what you thought about our game picks and so on. And have a great evening or morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.